I work an extremely high-stress job, and every single day, my decisions put thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people at risk. Although this is what I wanted to do for a living and what I went to college for, I want to retire as early as possible because this type of stress sometimes can be unbearable. So today, I'm going to walk you guys through what I plan to do to have full financial independence by 29 years old and to be fully retired in my early 40s. So first, we need to define what those terms mean. So full financial independence. This is going to be the year that I hit my FIRE number. If you guys don't know, financially independent, retire early is a strategy a lot of people use to either get a different job or to be retired at a lower rate of spending if that's what they sure desire to do. So there are a lot of different ways to calculate your FIRE number, but the most common one I've seen is taking your yearly expenses and multiplying that by 25. That's how much money you need to have invested in the stock market in order to retire and withdraw 4% of your funds every single year and have a nice retirement. Although that's nice, I want to have a big house and some nice cars, and I also want to be able to give money to those who are in need. So I plan to hit that FIRE number, potentially switch to a less stressful job, and then continue to work that job into my early 40s so that I can have a really nice retirement where I hit all of those big milestones that I just mentioned. And if you haven't done so already, please hit that subscribe button. I literally have 10 subscribers, so if you're my 11th, you can have bragging rights on that for the rest of your life. And honestly, you'll probably never even see this channel again, so just hit that subscribe button. It costs nothing and you have no stake. Anyway, let's get back to it. We're going to hit FIRE first. We're going to be 29 years old and hit that number. So in order to hit that number, it's a pretty simple equation. Save and make as much money as humanly possible and spend as little money as you can. So I made the major mistake when I first got out of college. I was making some good money, so I really thought I was ballin'. I got a semi-luxury apartment, bought a new car, and did all the things you're not supposed to do. But after year one of working this job, I decided I wanted to retire early, and so I started dialing back a lot of my expenses. I paid my car off in full, and when my rent was over for my current apartment, I moved apartments to the cheapest, safe apartment that I could find in the area. This altogether saved me about $1,000 a month. In turn, I take that $1,000 a month, invest it like crazy, and I should be able to retire years earlier than I first suspected. So there's a couple other things you can do to save money. Number one, just like I said, decrease your cost of rent. Also decrease the cost of living. So one thing that I did to change this is I was spending about $150 every single week for food at Walmart. I didn't know this, Walmart has some very, very expensive food. So what I did is I switched over to Aldi. Literally by making this change, Aldi started saving me about $70 every single week. Times this by 52 weeks in a year, and the amount of money I started saving just from switching where I got groceries was insane. And I wasn't sacrificing the quality of food, just the price was going down. I don't know why, but Aldi is so much cheaper to get food, and I highly recommend looking at where you get things like your groceries. Also with this, things like car insurance, things like health insurance, gym memberships, etc. I mean, you can relook at every single aspect of what you're spending, and I guarantee you can find a cheaper alternative that has pretty much the same quality and same value as you were getting before. All right, so there we go. Step one, decrease what you are spending every single month. Now, step two is pretty important to a lot of people, but may not apply to everybody. The number one thing you can do to start gaining money quicker is taking a look at your career. If you're not making a desirable amount of money, what type of quick changes can you make to start making more money? Maybe this means going out and getting a new license, a new certificate, maybe even going to community college for 1 or 2 years to get a different type of degree or an alternate degree that can make you more money. So I know a couple people who have done this. They were first making about $50,000 a year, spent about a year or two of their lives working on their education, and then all of a sudden after that, now they're making almost double doing the exact same or something similar. You can also achieve the same effect if you work in a particular field just by switching jobs and jumping up to the next level of responsibility. So here we go. We have solved the money going out problem. We have solved the money coming in problem. And now we need to understand what to do with money when you start accumulating it. Now, a lot of people that I know just take their money and they put it in a 4% high yield savings account. While this can be a good thing, it is not what you want to do to save for retirement. It is a little bit too safe and it stops you from accumulating money quickly. The number one thing you can do is have your full emergency fund. And what I mean by full emergency fund is just having 6 months of expenses saved up. And so for me, this was about $12,000. And this is what I use the high yield savings account for. I like to put that emergency fund in the HYSA so that I am saving, well, not saving money, but I'm keeping up with inflation. Basically, my money is not losing value in that account. If you're trying to retire early, what you can do after having this emergency fund is you can start putting all of your money into stocks. And what I'm talking about is a Roth IRA, a Roth 401k, and a traditional brokerage. All you need is those 3 accounts. So your 2 Roth accounts, the IRA and the 401k, those will come into effect when you're in your late 50s or early 60s. So this is more late end retirement. Start putting money in here, and if you're in your 20s, take a little bit more risk and put maybe about 50% of your money into your NASDAQ funds, so technology stuff. This makes around 14% on year per average. Some years that return is higher, some years it's lower. And I do have to say I'm not a financial advisor, so 100% do your own research, figure out where your money's going, and really understand it before you put your money into it. You also can put money into the S&P 500 if you desire, and maybe some overseas fund like VTI just to keep a little bit more balance in your portfolio. This is the strategy that I've been using for about the last decade, and it has produced me about a 17% return over the last decade. Some years it's higher, again, some years it's lower, and potentially in the future, this return will start looking more like 10 to 12%, and that's just because our markets have been insanely high the last couple years. So I don't expect to get a 17% return for my whole life. Again, probably 10 to 12% near the end of it. So accumulate this money, throw it into your stocks as quickly as possible. And especially if you're young, this is the number one thing you can do because this money will grow and compound like crazy. So if you're doing this, you should be aiming to get at least $100,000 invested as quickly as possible. And then at that point, it should start to compound a little bit quicker on itself, and you will start accumulating more money. So if you do this strategy, rinse and repeat, I guarantee you can probably achieve some pretty similar numbers to mine, financial independence at 29 years old, and full retirement in your early 40s-ish, depending on what year you start, for sure. But one final note I wanted to make, this calculation does not include things like having a family, owning a house, or buying new cars. These are 3 things that a lot of people want to do in their lifetime, especially in their early years of life. And I'm not saying they're absolutely horrible decisions, but they are for certain. They are decisions that can add years to your retirement, especially buying a house. And so be real careful, do your research, and understand what you're getting yourself into before you do any of these things. If you don't want to do these things, again, I highly suggest just living in an apartment as cheap as possible and investing as much as you can. Now, a lot of people fight me on this, especially the owning a home portion of it. I've got another video on my channel on why owning a home is not a great financial decision. But if you want to watch that, go ahead, click on my channel and scroll down to it. I've only got a couple videos, so it'll be pretty evident on which one that is. So if you made it this far, go ahead and leave in the comments. I want to know what year you are projected to retire, how old, and what you're doing to achieve that. Go ahead and leave that comment. I'm curious to discuss it with you down there. And if you haven't done so already, hit subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.